This E3 coverage is brought to you by Ting. Hey guys, Nick and Tara here. It is the last day of E3, so we wanted to kind of sum up our thoughts on this show and also pick the games that really stood out to us.
Let's do it. Let's give us some awards.
What was the most surprising game to you
Cool,
this
yeah.
year?
So our first award is Biggest Surprise, and I'm probably not gonna, I gotta put surprise, I guess, in quotation marks here, because I was maybe the only person who wasn't surprised, but it has to go to Phantom Dust for me during the Microsoft press conference. Just, the way that trailer unveiled itself, showing the skills up and like flashing it up and just like having this gradual realization of what was happening, and then showing Frieza in the trailer and the Psycho Blade, and none of these things mean anything to anyone except for me, but that was the biggest surprise for me, or at least the most vindicating one.
Yeah,
how about you?
The least surprising to me that you would choose that as your biggest surprise.
Least surprising, biggest surprise.
Exactly.
What's yours?
My biggest surprise was Ori and the Blind Forest, which was debuted, I guess, during the Microsoft press conference. This game really caught me by surprise. Such an emotional and heartfelt trailer. And I'm really happy that they seem to have devoted a lot of time to really tightening up the controls and making it a very satisfying platformer, and not just another pretty looking game.
That was a great moment in the press conference too, because we all just saw that tiny narrative play out with the death of the other figure, and then the big one picking up. We were all just like,
I know, it was so touching.
Very sweet and very unexpected.
So best original game.
Right.
I would have to say, for me, that goes to Sunset Overdrive.
I've
had my eye on this game ever since they announced it last year, and it was one of those things where it seems like a lot about it has changed from then until now, but I was really, really happy with what I saw of it behind closed doors. It looks really fun, really fast-paced, it's got a good sense of humor, and it's just the type of video game that fully understands that it is a video game and does not make any attempt to take itself seriously. And I really have to give it praise for that.
I think it'd be hard to argue that it's not original, you know? It's like so colorful, such a weird take on that, and such a huge departure for that team. That is a deeply original game. I think mine would have to go to No Man's Sky. It's kind of a game that we've been seeing for a while. They sort of first saw it last year, but just the big chunk that they showed during the press conference, no one has made a game quite like this before. Once again, big departure for that team who had previously worked on the Joe Danger games, going from that to this extremely, like, I hate to use the word epic, but epic in scope game where everyone starts on,
actually.
Starting on your own planet, going up and like flying up and landing on everything. It is nothing if not ambitious. The color scheme is gorgeous. The amount of beautiful gradients and skylines, like that to me is originality. That is what I want out of next gen, is experiences like that in no way resemble anything that we've ever seen before.
And games like that don't look like they come from a small team of indie developers. It's just incredible.
There's something to be said about the fact that this incredibly small British team is making what I would like to see big teams make.
Yes,
you know? That's a huge feat. And then lastly, our best game of E3 2014. It's so weird that we're already like done with E3. How did that happen?
Far Cry 4, I think, has to be the answer here.
I think so. I think there's not an option for a few reasons. I mean, it's definitely not the most original game or the biggest surprise. We knew it was coming, and it plays a lot like Far Cry 3, but of all the games here, if I could just take one home with me and play it for the next week or so, it would be Far Cry 4.
That's probably in my top 3 most anticipated games for 2014. It's really hard to top a game like Far Cry 3, I think, and they've managed to do it in a way that feels familiar but also refreshing and unique. Also, elephants, guys.
Elephants. Yeah, I completely agree. The few new things that they've shown from that game all seem to cater perfectly to what was amazing about Far Cry 3. They're just giving us a lot of new tools to screw around in that environment and make chaos happen in whatever way we feel like at the time. And that's why I loved the first one. Like,
player choice.
Kind of makes me want to go back and play Far Cry 3 again.
It really does. I might do that this weekend, actually.
Maybe.
So thank you for that suggestion. How do we feel about this E3 in general compared to previous years? I know this is your first one, but you've still been deeply entrenched in all the hype and everything.
Yeah, I think as someone who's been following E3 since I was a wee little baby boy, this was a really, really solid one. Like, just looking, if you were to judge it solely on the press conferences, I think everyone kind of killed it. There was a grip of new original games. People focused on games this time. It was a pretty big 180 from what we saw last year. Just new ideas everywhere. People going after games that aren't just sequels. Like, we had a big slew of sequels, but also I think this generational shift means that teams get to kind of refocus and try on new things, like Sunset Overdrive, actually.
Yeah, absolutely. I really like the focus more on games this E3. Last E3 was still a great show, but so much of it was just surrounding the hype and the divide between Xbox and PlayStation. I'm so glad that that seems to be tempering down now, and people can get back and focus on the real things that we love, which are games.
Right. It seems like we're inching ever closer to games that feel like true next-gen experiences, like games that are actually capitalizing on this hardware. I think next year will be even better for that, hopefully. We'll find like we're only going to get closer to things that feel futuristic and things that didn't feel achievable on previous consoles, and that's kind of what's exciting me about where we are at in video games right now.
Yes, exactly. So yeah, thank you guys for watching all of our E3 content. We're going to continue to upload more videos, so don't think this is the end of it, because we got lots more coming.
Sure do. E3.
E3!
See you next year.
Hey, there is a ton of awesome video games coming out this year, and if you want the money to actually buy all of the games you want, then you should sign up for Ting.
Yeah, Ting is this alternative sort of version of a cell phone provider plan that doesn't require you to lock yourself into a painful 2-year contract and makes you only pay for what you use each month. So let's say 1 month you leave your phone at home and go on vacation, you won't pay any data fines and minutes.
Yeah, you only pay for what you use. There's no long-term plans. You don't have to pay any crazy hidden fees. Like you always have to do with your cell phone provider. It puts the power back in your hands, and it is completely transparent. They will show you everything that you have used and all of your charges. No hidden fees, no crazy stuff like that. And they have awesome customer service. If you call up Ting, you will actually speak to a real live human being, which is unheard of.
In this day and age?
No robots.
You kidding me?
Exactly.
I'm over robots.
So if you want to sign up for Ting, or if you want to check out their savings calculator, which can show you how much money you would save over 2 years if you switch to Ting, just hit up rev3games.ting.com. And if you sign up with that link, you will also get $25 off your first monthly bill. Again, that is rev3games.ting.com. And remember, every sign up helps support Rev3 Games.
Oh my God!
1, 2, 3.
Shit.
Fuck.